welcome back, modelers. So today we are going to do a bit of a more advanced look into glass files. So I've got a few different comments from my initial post that I had, and I've learned a little bit more about these, so I'm going to spread that wisdom to you. Also show you some ways where you can save money. Maybe also give you some links on where you can waste some money too. So with these, this was the first one that I got, and it seemed like there was something a little bit off with it, and it wasn't exactly doing what I want. So I said, well, maybe this one was a bad batch, and the thing didn't cool right. The glass didn't cool. I don't know. It's a weird thing with transportation. Who knows? So I wanted to look into it a little bit further and get some other ones because it did have some cool effects to it. So I saw it at my local MRS hobby shop here. They had a few other options. And so I got the bigger one, and we're going to be showing you that. But they also had one of these, just kind of a generic, no name anything on it, and about half the price. So I was like, sure, let's give it a whirl. And you'll be able to see it has a little bit of a different, well, maybe not. It's hard to focus on that. Maybe if I do, it's really fine. But anyway, it's got a bit more of a crosshatch pattern to it versus more of like a standard file looking pattern to it. So a little different. But what can we use this for in the hobby? One thing that I've been using it for lately is for my seams. And one thing that can happen is you might sand something down and it looks like it's great, but then all of a sudden when you go to paint it, you have a seam that pops up, a ghost seam, right? Well, I found if you polish this down in such a way, it'll either show you, really smooth and ready to go, or you get into a ghost seam that you gotta maybe put in some putty or something, because there is a bit of a bend into where you have the little valley where you have the gap there. So the other thing that a lot of people use them for its original purpose, Gundam type stuff, is where we have a bit of our nub here from the sprue, and what you can do, you can take this, file it down, and this is going to be pretty popular for some of the people that are using some of the new kits where you're not going to be doing, you don't want to paint it all, you're using the natural plastic to it. Okay, and then almost there. The other added benefit with these is really, really easy to clean. Just water, alcohol, or whatever, and it's clean. So these things should, in theory, last a very, very, very long time. In this one that I've used a bit more, there's maybe a little bit of scratches to it. I don't know how those got there, but I mean, glass, I guess, would have those scratches. But otherwise, you can see this little polishing that's happened. So you can do that to remove those sprue nubs here, if you wanted to do that. The other thing is just polishing down the plastic. Look for flaws. And as you can see, it doesn't take much to get it to where you're buffing it. For canopies, it's a bit tricky because you're using a flat surface, and pretty much all the time it's rounded, and so it just kind of looks a little bit lumpy, but you might be able to do some of the final polishing maybe. The jury's still out on that one. So this would be about $12 for the bigger Meng one, and then the smaller Meng I have to see what the price is going on for that, but it's like $8 or something. And so it does very similar. But let's look at this guy. So are these no-name brand ones just as good? Well, all I can say is I don't know where guys at MRS got this one. But it has no brand to it. There's no packaging that had anything on it. So I'd have to dig deeper, and I probably don't want to announce where he got the source anyway, because I don't want to short him or anything like that. So if you look, very much can't really discern quality between the two here. I don't know. And if you look online for some of the Gundam stuff, you could spend like $40, and some of them have like these really cool designs on the other side and some cool things like that. So in theory, you could spend a pretty penny on these. But I found these work very similarly. Now, the next question comes, what about the ones they use for nails? Because, all these do work really well for nails. If you've, noticed some of my nails, get a little bored in front of the TV and get them pretty polished. So the ones that they use at the nail salons, are they going to be just as good as this? I haven't used those, but I would be a little bit wary on using some of those. So as you can see, the plastic, we can polish that pretty good with just about any one of them. This one, we're having some difficulty initially. But I think it was just my goofiness. I don't know. Because it's working perfectly fine now. But yeah, so if you guys know of any other uses where we can use these, because now I have 3 of them, so please tell me if there's other uses that I can use this for. I found some paint, you can actually even polish the paint with this, and it works out pretty well for that, so that's pretty cool as well. But in all, it's they're all pretty equal in quality from what I'm noticing and trying out with this. But definitely not equal in price, but pretty slick. I mean, just a couple of passes on there, and it's all nice and shiny. So, I don't know if... imagine for automotive, it's probably nice to just make sure your plastic is just super polished before you put on the paint, because every layer that you put on needs to be nice and smooth, right? So no matter how good you are, how much expensive paint you have, if your base layer, the plastic, has all sorts of nastiness to it, it's not going to look good. No matter how much coats of gloss and future or whatever you use on it, it's not going to look that great. So this could have a big use for that. For us aircraft mainly guys, I don't know. But seam lines has been pretty cool for that, to be able to just take these. Obviously this isn't painted, but, I mean glued, but if you just run this over and polish it, you'd be able to notice whether or not it's ready to go. So that, I found, has been pretty effective. I've been using that on the current project that I've got going on right here that we can talk about later. But hopefully that was informative. Let me know if there's anything else, if, like I said, there's any other specifics of cool things that you can do with these other than its intended purpose, and let me know, and I'll take a look at that and add it into future videos. But as always, thanks for watching.